Wow, what a glorious day it is in Khakassia, southern Siberia. The region's home to the Khakass, a unique nomadic people, and their culture is a distinctive blend of ancient and modern, Caucasian and Mongolian. So let's go and take a deep dive and find out more about their traditions, customs and beliefs. Leonid, what legends are there surrounding the origins of the Khakass people?
You know, during my childhood, I heard several legends about the origins of my people. They say those who lived on the banks of the Yenisei and Abakan appeared by complete coincidence, almost mysteriously. It started with a childless couple who once lived here. They couldn't have children. One day they started to pray to heaven, to the eternal blue sky. It was their last hope. And heaven gave them 2 daughters. When it was time to marry them off, wolves began to turn up at their house. A blue wolf began to visit one girl under the window. And on seeing him, she fell in love and said it was a sign from heaven. So she married this wolf. This is how blue-eyed, light-haired, light-skinned Khakass appeared. Then a black wolf began to visit the second girl, and she married that wolf. And that's how Khakass, with darker features, appeared. Therefore, Khakass can be different, and that just makes them more beautiful.
I agree with that. And I also know that according to the Khakass people, the world has 3 levels. Can you describe them to me, and which level are we on at the moment?
You know, the Khakass people are not only on Earth. As we've already said, our people originate from heaven. Heaven gave life to the Khakass people, and our world is divided into 3 parts: the heavenly world, the sun and moon, the gods and space. Then there's the middle world, where we are now. And there is also a lower world, called the just world. This is the afterlife, the world of death. After all, the Khakass live in heaven too. On Earth, they live in the middle world, and in the afterlife they live too, in the just world. There is a milky lake in the sky, Akhkul, in which a person bathes and forgets his past life. At the right time, he descends to the middle world. This is the world where we are now. It's a white world, and here there are masters, spirits, mountains, waters, lands, and taiga, and everything that surrounds us is alive, and we must be able to live peacefully with these spirits and deities. But the time will come when we leave for another world. This is not the end of our lives, but only a continuation. Only there we will live backwards, from old age to infancy. That's what we believe. This is how our ancestors imagined this world, and we continue to believe it.
Well, Christianity came to Khakassia, but shamanism, I see, still plays a fundamental role, Leonid. Is there any sort of contradiction here between the two?
The Khakass did convert to Christianity. However, despite this, the Khakass continue to believe in the power of shamans. Our nature will not allow us to forget. It is impossible to erase it from our history. The Khakass people are dual believers. We believe in the spirits of the mountains and water, and we also believe in the one God. Everything before us was made by the gods. We believe that there is a master spirit in everything, even in a table or stone. And the Khakass have preserved a unique language for communicating with these spirits and deities.
Victoria, I see you have just over 10 yurts here. Are they just somewhere to live, or are they something more than that?
For Khakass, a yurt is not just a home, a dwelling, or a place where we were born. This is our universe, and it was especially important for every man to build his own house because it's where he brings his family and raises his children. Whether it be in a steppe or a mountainous area, he should have a home. Sometimes he might have a temporary home, but it is very temporary. His dwelling should be solid, his home, the yurt stood somewhere, the focus of his life and universe. Now, Peter, I invite you into this home so that you can see how it's arranged on the inside, what there is and how our people used to live in a yurt.
Let's do it. Thank you. Well, it's like stepping back in time here.
The yurt has an upper part that's like a mountain. It's considered the male half of the structure, but that's how we call it. The lower part, the bottom of the universe, is the female half. But the yurt is also divided into several areas, a respectful part and a disrespectful part. The part of the house between the entrance and the hearth is considered to be disrespectful. And so when someone comes, either long-awaited guests or just a neighbour, if they are respectable people, they are immediately escorted into the respectable hearth. If a rich owner wants to demonstrate his status and a poor person comes to them, this person is kept near the door to show them who is who. And there is a hearth in the centre. It serves as both a divider and the centre of this universe. The hearth played a very important role. And it wasn't just for cooking or for heating. The hearth is the guardian of this family's health and well-being. Not the hearth itself, mind you, nor the fire within it, but the mistress of the fire. She's called Ot Initsi in Khakass. She has a special role in being the host of all these deities and guardians.
Victoria, is there any significance to the number of corners in a yurt?
Khakass yurt has from 6 to 14 corners, but this isn't about how sacred it is. It depends on the wealth of the family. The richer the family, the more corners. If you imagine a hexagonal yurt, it was very small, but a 14-sided one is huge, up to 70 or 80 metres squared, and it was all one chamber, a very large space. If you were to go inside such a yurt, the ceiling vault is very high, and there is a huge space.
And were they always open like this, or did they have curtains for a bit of privacy?
Only the marital bed has curtains draped over it. The rest of the space was wide open. Everything took place in front of the whole family.
Okay, wow, so no secrets.
They had no secrets from each other.
I've heard that you can never feel alone in a yurt, Victoria. Is that true?
Look, our people never really felt lonely, even if they were at home alone, because there were guardian spirits surrounding them in this dwelling. In Khakass, they are called tios. The word tios translates to chest or rib cage, the base of something. In other words, it was a primary foundation, a talisman of sorts for Khakass. And as I mentioned, the main keeper of the house in the yurt was the mistress of the fire. And before every meal, the hostess or whoever was about to eat had to put the most delicious morsels into the fire to feed the mistress. In addition, on the right side of the yurt's entrance, there was a tios called the abatios, a bear tios. It was made from a dried bear's paw. Or it could be a carving of a paw made of cherry wood. The main purpose of this amulet was to protect the house, to protect the inhabitants of this house, its owners from the evil eye, from bad people. So, if a bad person came into the house, this tios, this amulet, fell and warned the owners of an unwanted guest. And if there were children, it was necessary to make another amulet. This tios, oddly enough, was stored under the bed of the husband and wife. Look, this is a very interesting tios. It's called a emi-tios.
Emetius.
Emi Umai is the goddess and patroness of both children and women's souls. She generally appears as winged and with a three-horned headdress that looks like a crown. This amulet was made when the children were born, and if it was a boy, a small bow was hung here. A mock-up of an arrow was also made, and if a girl, then a spindle was hung. Both were kept under the bed.
And who made this?
This was made by a woman, sometimes under the guidance of an elderly grandmother, and this amulet should always be kept at home.
And under the bed.
Oh, and cowrie shells. It's strange that the Khakass have them, isn't it? In fact, cowrie shells have been here since ancient times. They were found during excavations, and in Khakass they are called chislanas, which is translated as snake's head.
Why?
This is a powerful talisman. Well, if you peel the skin off a snake's head, it looks very similar. And this is very powerful for protecting children. Cowries were hung on a string, and these cowrie shells were always included in women's jewelry. Here, you see, I have a pogo, a breast decoration. They're sewn on here too. This jewelry protects women. And this is also the image of the goddess Umai. It's believed that she protects and preserves women's souls.
To the Khakass people, their traditional dress is more than just something that keeps you warm. It embodies an entire philosophy and is adorned with symbols that reflect their view of the world. Let's find out more. Maria, I know that the Khakass people are sometimes called the winged people. Why is that?
This is due to the special cut of our clothes, namely dresses. A Khakass dress is very wide and long. It needs about 7 meters of fabric to make.
7 meters?
The back is elongated, while the sleeves are very wide at the top, tapering to the bottom. Altogether, it creates a silhouette of a bird's wing.
Amazing. And while we're talking about clothes, I also know that you can tell a lot about the person from the clothes they're wearing, what family they're from, whether they're married or not. It's a bit like a code. How do you decipher it?
Yes, you could tell a woman's societal and marital status by her clothes. Married women had 2 braids and covered their heads with a scarf. They wore a white dress called a sigirek, a sleeveless jacket, and a specific jewelry set. This consisted of a pogo, the chest ornament, izirga, braid ornaments, and a large silver signature rings, chustuk. While married women wore their hair in braids, girls wore pigtails, or sumerski. And of course, they couldn't wear the jewelry meant for a married woman.
Right. Now, I know also that the clothes of the Khakass people were often made of very expensive fabrics like velvet or silk. Where would such a nomadic people get these materials from?
A lot of material was brought from China, Mongolia, and Tibet along the Great Silk Road. Of course, such materials were very expensive. For example, one coral bead could cost as much as a horse or an ox.
Really? And what other sort of jewelry or decorative elements did the Khakass people wear, Maria?
I'd like to tell you a lot about the Khakass jewelry and show you some.
That'd be great. Let's go. Maria, this chess piece reminds me a bit of the sakal in Bashkiria, but there are a lot more coins on that one, and it was used as armor in the past. Is this similar?
This is a pogo chest piece. It may indeed have something in common with other cultures. For us, this is the basis of a set of jewelry for married Khakass women. A pogo is a breast ornament worn over a white Khakass dress and sometimes even a fur coat to protect pregnant women from prying eyes.
And what else do these symbols and elements mean here, Maria? This looks a bit like a heart, for example.
Various charms could be laid out in the pogo. Here, you see a heart. There could also be ornaments similar to a Turkish buta, drops, leaves, shamrocks, and so on. The whole pattern was initially determined by these large mother-of-pearl buttons. They were sewn on the base first. They usually used an odd number, so 3, 5, or 7 buttons. Then they were sheathed in a circle with braided thread, and it was these mother-of-pearl buttons that determined the overall design of the pogo. And now I'll show you an antique piece of jewelry. It belonged to my grandmother. I was named after her. Her name was also Maria Okuneva. This pogo is about 100 years old.
Really?
I also wanted to show you some braid ornaments called izirgas. They look like earrings, but they weren't put in your ears. How were they worn? Well, firstly, they could only be worn by a married woman. Her hairstyle consisted of 2 braids, and they were hooked onto the upper part of the braids near the headscarf with a copper wire. Moreover, if the family was rich, these rings could be made of silver. Poor people made them out of copper or bronze.
Uh-huh. And where did you get this silver from, and was gold used?
A lot of material came from the Great Silk Road, and silver was highly valued. Khakass women have never worn gold, probably because it's yellow. The Khakass love all colors but yellow, because yellow is considered a symbol of disease, jaundice. Even in ornaments, no yellow could be presented. It had to be diluted with other colors. The most highly regarded color was red, and these red corals were of great value because they were brought from far and wide, for example, India. Silver coins were also hung from the end of braid ornaments, and this is also very interesting. These are imperial coins. Here's one from 1842.
1842.
Yes, it's 1 ruble. And here's another coin from 1813.
Wow, that's almost over 200 years old.
Yes. And the braid ornaments could also be decorated with a fringe of threads, but this one's antique, so of course the fringe is already a little frayed. And they also had to be connected to each other by a silver chain.
Wow. And is this something that you would wear in a special occasion or just in everyday life?
They were worn when going out on holidays or special occasions. So, of course, this pair was not for daily use.
And I see, Marie, you've also got some intricate patterns here on your ring. What do they mean?
The rings were decorated with ornaments embroidered in silver, and these ornaments formed a kind of a protective circle. In general, every element in this jewelry set was there to protect both the woman herself and her entire family. For example, a pogo had an external, ornate part, which is visible to us, but it also has a secret pocket on the backside, where dried thyme can be placed. We call this herb irbinot. Perhaps you know it by name Bogorodskaya grass. We valued this plant and consider it to be sacred. It is believed that smoke from burning thyme cleanses the entire space it fills and protects you from evil spirits. Besides dried thyme, a woman could put an embroidered ancestral symbol in the secret pogo pocket, or even one just written on a piece of cloth. Thus, the pogo became a talisman not only for the woman herself, protecting her and her child from evil eyes, but also a talisman for the whole family.
There are a few better ways to get to know a people than through their music, so that's why we came to see Sergei Charkov. Bravo, Sergey. Thank you very much. That was amazing. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, tell me about your instrument, please. What makes it so special? And are these vertebrae from an animal?
This instrument is called a charkhan, which translates as lying down. This is a very ancient instrument. They came down to us in this form, and yes, these frets are made from lamb bones. What's it notable for? The fact that these traditions have been preserved until now. There are folk performers and very ancient traditions for playing.
And why did you decide originally to start playing this instrument?
I listened to it when I was a small child, and when I got a little older, in my youth, I was drawn to this particular instrument, the charkhan.
And is it difficult to play because you make it look so easy?
Well, as with any instrument, you have to practice to play it well.
I'm getting the sense there's a deep connection between the Khakass people and their environment, everything that surrounds them. What role does music play in this, Sergey?
As a rule, every group of people has their own melody. And I think the connection with this charkhan is particularly deep. Our people greatly respect and love this instrument because it's associated with storytelling, the highest art. Stories are told and accompanied by this instrument. Therefore, this instrument is very closely connected to our people's legends. You could say that it is the very image of our Khakassia. This inextricable link between Khakassia and the charkhan.
And, well, talking about the charkhan, the music that you play here, it seems to complement your throat singing perfectly and vice versa. Is it hard to do? Can anyone do it?
Again, returning to the haiji, this is the storyteller. By tradition, the performance begins with throat singing, and then there's a recitation, a retelling of the legend that was sung. The execution is, of course, specific because you must use your so-called false vocal cords. In conversation, we speak in an ordinary voice, but here we need to strain our false vocal cords. Of course, it takes some effort to do that. But I don't think it's that difficult. The key thing is to practice.
Can you show me how it's done, please, Sergey? So what sort of things do you sing about in your songs?
Our throat singing is designed to communicate with the spirits. Shamans also use this altered voice in conversation, and the performers of these epic narratives, the haiji, also use this throat sound, so that the spirits in the area understand the language. So, this throat singing has a very sacred character.
And what are these spirits that you're talking about?
Well, these are primarily spirits of the mountains and steppes. According to our beliefs, they live in a kind of parallel world. There are people who feel this in some way, whether they see it or otherwise. The shamans say these spirits live beside us, and that's why there are a lot of rituals. For example, when you go on the road, you must stop at certain places. These are traditions.
And do you feel that connection with the spiritual world?
Unfortunately, I don't really feel it. But I observe these traditions.
I can see you're a historian, you're a scientist, you're also a shaman. How do you balance these different aspects of your life?
You know, I believe I should pass on the knowledge given to me by my parents. We live in a changing world. Some values and views are being replaced by new ones. But only shamanism and acquiring an understanding of the nature of this world will help you maintain some kind of peace of mind and physical health. For the Khakass people who live somewhere in the steppe or the mountains, it isn't difficult to create a small space where we can turn to the heavenly God or the proud spirit. It is not difficult at all, because we live in it. We live well.
I can see that as well.